You want your coffee?
Yes, sir. If you don't mind. Thank you, my good sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is NeoClassicK Writers Block. I'm excited. I am your host, Ric Foci, and I'm speaking with two wonderful gentlemen, CEO, Mr. Tee Kae, and COO, Mr. Present. What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Hey, Rick.
So good to be on the podcast finally. This is a manifestation of a lot of dreams and a lot of hard work.
Absolutely. Took a long time to get here, but we made it.
Yes, we did. I'm excited for this. We're going to sit, chat, speak on topics that we might not like, and speak on topics that we love. I feel like that's what podcast is about. Be as organic as possible, show the people who we are as people. And Prez, I mean, you want to start off with the first question? What you got?
Yeah, so TK, tell us about NeoClassic. What is NeoClassic?
NeoClassic is best described as a movement of consciousness. We're here, as you know, to tell our story and enlighten others to really find their way in spirituality and fitness and just being an overall 10 times better human than they were before they found us.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's very beautiful.
So why did we start the label?
Started the label because we realized as artists, you know, I feel like we're programmed by this system to think that we want a record deal, right? Like, I remember I was an artist and I always thought, if I could just get a record deal, if I could just get a $1 million advance and show the world what I have, you know, and then I started doing research about what that would look like to get that record deal that I wanted. And I realized that by the time you get the deal, you've already done all the work.
Yeah.
And the label just wants to pay you peanuts.
And suck you dry.
Yeah.
Pause.
Well, they no diddy. well, they benefit of all the fruits of my labor,
Right.
and get to tell my story for me. But that divine intervention told me that there's a lot of artists that think this way. And my goal has always been to help the most people.
And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of artists stay independent. Why? Because they have created the fan base without the distributions and the record labels' help. And the record labels are literally trying to steal their fan base from them. So I applaud to all the independent artists that are really grinding it, trying to make a name for themselves. And so is TK. So is my boy Present. So am I. We're all trying to make a name for ourselves at the end of the day. But who's on your radar? Are you looking to sign anybody to NeoClassicK? Do you have anybody in the works?
Well, you know you got a deal coming in the mail January 1st.
Ooh.
We got Squares. Squares is
Squares?
an awesome pop rock singer-songwriter. I was actually on the phone today with a small venue out in Falls Church, and I was looking to get the coveted spot of christening their new stage for me and Present. And she told me that they're looking for more of like an acoustic singer-songwriter thing.
Okay.
And with my sales background, I instantly pivoted. And I was like, well, up our sleeve, we've got this awesome guy, Squares. And, you know, I just put him out on the forefront because not every opportunity is for me as a hip-hop artist. You know, there's like Club Red. That was an amazing time. You were out there. Prez was out there. We had a great time, you know, showing up and rocking that venue out. It was amazing to see the DJ in the TK shirt.
Yeah.
I had to get that on film.
That was sick, bro. And I mean, there's a lot of other artists that I really won't speak on, but one of the ones I'm most interested and excited about, and I think Present has the same sentiment as me, is my Aunt Rita.
Oh,
She's got hundreds of recorded songs from 1980, 1990, and my first musical memory was sitting at her piano with her and playing the piano as like a 7-year-old boy, and that was like my first music memory. And like, it's so full circle for her to have sent me a CD, and I listened to it. It's like 18 songs, and it's gonna be called Everlasting Paradise.
Ooh.
And it's like some country folk rock. It's neoclassic.
Right.
Yeah,
It's neoclassic.
it is.
So does
In
your
its purest.
does your aunt play piano? I'm guessing.
Yeah, she plays piano. She plays guitar, bass.
Oh,
She's
wow.
an all-around musician, and she's been writing music since she was, I think she said 20 is when she wrote her first song.
Wow.
And so she created this album with another gentleman. His name's slipping my head, but he's passed away to the spirit in the sky. And this has been a dream come true for her to just get it in the most ears as possible. She sent me a physical CD, and she's, peddled a couple physical CDs, but she doesn't really know much about technology. So to get that out on digital distribution, get it to the people, I think that it's just a beautiful dream come true of like, I could actually help people who are close to me first, right?
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of people on my radar though. A lot of people.
TK, this is in your blood, man. And I could see it at Club Red. And actually, the question I want to ask you next is, when you're performing live on stage, how did that make you feel? What was your emotions like performing?
It's just the best way to describe it is I just feel like I'm at home. I mean, present from the moment that we met has always been something I've loved to do, is just like get in your face and rap at you until you can't take no more. Like if I'm writing a song, the whole house is gonna know what I'm doing, because I just love giving that energy to the audience. I feel like not enough people realize the abundant energy of the cosmos that's available to us. And I think a lot of performers go on stage and they try to absorb the energy from the audience. I take a whole flip approach. I try to give my energy to the audience, and I want to see everyone leave the venue charged up.
Wow.
I can speak for myself. Maybe you felt the same way, but you can definitely see it in TK's face, the way he moves, the way he's speaking, his eyes are moving, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, one thing that TK and I always talked about is that when we do music, we're becoming a conduit for that energy. And music is not anything that we can create. We're just snapping into that spirit of music and allowing it to flow through us, because everything that, well, at least with music, everything's already been created.
right.
There's no original idea underneath the sun. And so when we're able to really get in tune with that, then we're able to channel that like a conduit, like of energy, almost like electricity. Like we're made of water, and water is so conductive.
Very fluid.
That's right.
Rick Rubin has a book called The Creative Act, and I definitely recommend it to any kind of creative at all out there. But he talks about how as artists, we don't do anything. It's not our job to do anything. It's just our job to tune into the frequency and let it come. And one of the things that's changed a lot in my writing over the time is now, like, I used to get so absorbed in, like, I got to finish this song. Now I just kind of let the song finish itself. Like, I'm working on a song right now called Alchemy, and I'm only using 40 words for the whole song, which is a challenge.
Why are you doing that?
I saw a podcast. I absorb a lot of podcasts and stuff with Pharrell, and he was talking about how he challenges some of his artists to use only 40 words because international markets, they might not know a lot of English, but you go overseas and they know every word to certain songs in English, but they don't know how to ask you where the bathroom is.
Okay.
So I thought that there would be an interesting challenge, but like before, like where I was 3 years ago, I wouldn't have even considered booking the time with Solo, our producer, to record that song until it was fully finished. But now I'm like halfway done with the song, and I already got the session booked for like a few days from now, because I know that the song will finish itself in the time that it has to be done.
That makes sense.
So out of all the people you featured with or have made a song with, that featured on your tracks. Who has been your favorite and why?
Present.
Ah,
Yeah, Present for sure. We got an album that's like really, really close to my heart coming out next year called the TNT tape.
Oh yeah.
And it's just been so amazing to watch Present grow as an artist. Like, Present is part of the reason that I actually gained the confidence in this label being a thing, because like I always thought that I wanted to be this star and I wanted to do this and do that, and I always thought my goals were based on my own drive, my own ego. But I've got the most joy in the last 2 years watching Present grow as an artist. Like, I don't know if I've ever told you this for real, bro, but like that's what made me realize like my joy is not in self, it's in helping other artists. And I think that's part of the reason why it's so crucial to be sitting here, 3 artists talking to artists and other creatives or fans, and just like helping people grow through the power of music, because music saved my life. You guys know that about me.
I was gonna say it's beautiful you're saying this right now, because not only are you saying this about Present, but your whole album is essentially helping people with addiction, and it's just like mind blowing how selfless you are. You know what I'm saying? So you're saying you love to see Present grow as an artist, but you're also on your whole album, you wanted to see people grow out of addiction. It's just like mind blowing. And that's how you know you're pure hearted, you know? And I love that about you, TK, for real. I really do.
So I've realized I've had the pleasure of reading probably 42, 43 just like self-improvement audiobooks throughout the course of this year. And one of the ones that really opened my eyes to the power of God working through entrepreneurs and gave me a big hope in the future of humanity is a book called 3 Feet from Gold. It's by the Napoleon Hill Foundation. I can't remember the name of the author, but it's basically like expanding on Think and Grow Rich, which is one of the first ones I started with this year. And one of the common denominators that he found in the most successful people in the world was they all would ask him when he came into their office to interview them how they could be of service to him. Him being a nobody is like, entrepreneurs have freed up their time and found ways to be of service. And I never realized, like, I've always told my mom from a young age, I want to change the world. I want to save the world. And she'd always tell me, start with your small corner. And like, in a certain way, like, Present has been the biggest tangible product of my small corner of the world. When I met him, he wrote poetry, but he had never actually put that to a track.
Right.
And so like just to watch you grow has been amazing. And our album is probably my favorite work that I have yet to start. Like, Metamorphosis wasn't really intentional. Like, I wrote that album over the course of my lifetime, scatterbrain, but like Present and I actually sat down when we met, we came up with a concept for this album, and we've slowly started piecing it together. And it's the first time I've ever really worked with another artist. So it's been like, he's the first feature I've ever dropped, what besides the song, that my first song, Growth, with D Quarrels. But like, coming back to music full circle as a professional instead of just recording at my mom's house is like how I started. Present's really the first artist I've worked with. And like, I've got a feature with AK the Savior too, which that's been a dream come true, but it hasn't been as hands-on. So my favorite artist to work with has definitely been my guy right here. And this is like, we've got infinite features coming out together.
That's
I still
right.
want to work with you.
Right-hand man.
Yeah, I still want to work with you, bro.
Absolutely.
And I got a whole feature hit list, like, to name a few: Eminem, Logic, JID. I want to do something with Action Bronson, ASAP Rocky, Nick D. He's right out of Culpeper, so
Locally.
that's a big DMV area. Wale, another DMV artist. But I've got a whole feature hit list, and I intend to achieve everything I set my mind to. But one thing I was talking about today too, in a little conference I was in, is about how ideals are by definition unachievable. And we learn that from a young age, but we tend to forget it. Because like, as a kid, you look at the city in the horizon and you're like, I want to go there. Well, when you get there, then the horizon is another city, and you're like, I want to go there. And you learn that you'll never get to the ideal, which is the horizon. But if you look back, you came afar, you know, and I think that a lot more people need to learn how to live in the gain and focus on the growth mindset and focus on gratitude, as opposed to this culture teaching us that we haven't done enough. Men need to work harder. Men need to not feel. And I think there's a lot of toxic masculinity going around in the culture, and that's something that I think needs to end.
So I actually have a question for you. You being a record label yourself, what has been like the toughest challenge for you? What have you learned that you may have took a L in that you can reverse, maybe make it a dub, but essentially it's like, okay, maybe I'm not gonna go that direction anymore?
Well, I've learned a lot.
That's a really good question.
Yeah. Record labels are just banks, right? They're just glorified banks. And I don't believe that I've taken any L's, because by definition, I've always learned from every mistake I've ever made.
Yep.
So like I'll use distribution as an example. Distribution right now is the wild, wild west. Independent artists, you need to know that distribution is the wild, wild west. There's 20 distributors that want to just take your money, not provide you any value, and then pay you peanuts if you're lucky. And attention is currency, right? That's the other thing I've learned. Attention is currency. So as artists, we need to tell the story, cultivate the attention, love the fans, help the fans to understand who we are, so that they can come into the community and support us and support each other, and we can all grow together. Now, I don't know if that really answers your question, but we will win as NeoClassic. Because it's not over until we win.
There is no tomorrow. Rocky, there is no tomorrow. Perez, you want to kick off one?
Yeah, so I want you to tell the viewers how you became Tee Kae.
The nickname started in basketball because it was always easier for them to say Tee Kae and get the ball. I played point guard than to say Taylor. And in the locker room, I'd be kicking freestyles. And so the name just stuck. But becoming Tee Kae it's just been a transformative experience from the jump. Like, the first song I ever made was a song called Growth with my boy D Quarles. And like I said, we made that in my mom's kitchen. And then shortly after that, I made Enjoy the Wave. And then, before that, Life's So Amazing. And then I met Elijah, and his pops, rest in peace, he had a studio. And so I went and recorded a lot more music there. And that was my first taste of being in a real studio. But the one thing I've done perfectly in music is I've been writing music every single day since I was 13. Not a day goes by where I don't write something. Now, it might not always be a full song, but I'm in the habit of writing something every day. And because of that, some days full songs do come out. And so becoming Tee Kae is like, it's just kind of like from the minute I kicked the rap, I was Tee Kae.
Yeah.
Like, and then I just learned to spell it out.
You know, they say the hardest part of doing anything is starting. So you just writing maybe a sentence, maybe a couple of words, that's you starting the process of work, and that's the most important thing. So that's beautiful.
One thing my boss always said that I never understood until recently is he always says, I'm a big fan of shitty workouts. And what he means by that is, like, some days you'll go to the gym and you're just not feeling it, and you might get 20 minutes into your workout and just get a phone call that, you know, you got to go. But you got in the gym that day. So it makes it easier the next day to get in the gym. And I've been going to the gym pretty much 6 times a week since October of last year.
Whew.
And now it's like, I don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
I get my breakfast in me, and I'm naturally headed out the door with my earbuds in, and I'm in gym mode. And now I get, a couple hour workout in pretty much every day. I don't do a lot. I do a lot of cardio. I don't do a lot of heavy lifting. My goal is I want to run 100 miles. I want to run a 100-mile ultra called the Hurt 100.
I think I heard of that. Isn't it 4 miles within an hour each?
It's 20 mile. It's a 20-mile pig trail in Hawaii, and it's a 24-hour round the clock marathon. And in order to get invited, you have to like complete other ultras and stuff like that. But I heard about it from David Goggins' book. I can't remember the name of the book, but he did it, and he was talking about how he was out there in the middle of the night on like mile 70, and he could hear the pigs grunting and squealing, and you got a headlamp on, and you're dodging all these sticks in the way, and he's like, "What am I doing? Like, I'm crazy." And then it hit him like, I'm crazy. That's what I'm doing. And if I was crazy, I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
Yeah. Okay, so I have 2 questions before I want to get into the album. Okay. The first question is, the first one's more of a statement. So I've read a few self-improvement books myself, quite a few, a handful, maybe a little more than that. And I think it's kind of crazy how all these successful people, the top 1%ers in the world, all say the same thing about how it's about your mindset. It's the way you think. It's the way your mental can shut you down. Your mental can bring you up. And in every book that I've read, they've always said, change your mindset. Think positive. Think good. Think great. Think you're better. Think you're this, that, and the third. Just think up. Never think down.
Right.
All the bad thoughts that you think 3 times as much good thoughts. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's beautiful. The second one is, Tee Kae, this is a question. Who is your inspiration when it comes to music?
So many. So shameless self-plug. I actually have a playlist called Tee's Inspiration.
Oh.
And you can find a full list. But I'll just list 3. So I gotta say Eminem, because that's where it all started for me as a kid. I remember my aunt popped the CD in the CD player outside when my mom was inside cooking or something. She's like, check this out. Hi, kids. Do you like violence? Want to see me stick 9-inch nails? Anyway, I don't want us to get flagged. I heard that song, and I was like, what is this? That was like my first experience of hip-hop. And I never wanted to be a rapper, like, ever. I wanted to be a rock star. I used to love Sublime. I used to love Nirvana, like punk rock. Like, I could list all the names forever. Jimi Hendrix. But rap started for me at 13 years old. I was chiefing with my buddy Hunter in his car, and Garden Grove by Sublime played. And that breakdown at the end of the song is so funky. There's like a 2-minute instrumental at the end of that song. And I just started freestyling. Like, something out of me just like, it just happened. And he's like, that was really good. And I was like, for real? He's like, yeah, can you write that down? And that was the first day I ever wrote a rap. And I just started trying my hand. And then next thing I know, I had a notebook full of raps, another notebook full of raps. Now I got a briefcase down there full of raps, a bunch of raps in that tub over there, and probably like 400 notes in my phone. So I don't know, like, hip-hop kind of chose me in a sense. I think the reason why is because you could fit so much story into one song, where like with rock, like I'll use Nirvana as an example. Like, I could talk about Polly wants a cracker, and that can mean so many different things, and it leaves a lot of interpretation. But with hip hop, it's like, let me tell you a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down. And you can really just draw the listener in. But like, I still have plans to try to make it big as a rock star one day. So I would say, to answer your question, Eminem, Sublime, Bradley Cooper, rest in peace, and Mac Miller. Like, I was such a big Mac fan. I remember when I heard the news of him passing, I I actually cried. That was the first time I ever cried when we lost a celebrity.
R.I.P. the GOAT, man.
Yeah, bro. I feel
Definitely
like
my favorite rapper.
I feel like his soul like lives on around me. Like there was a coconut I had in my boat,
Oh,
and
Wilson.
yeah, you remember Wilson,
Oh,
bro.
I'll never forget Wilson.
And I was convinced that Mac Miller like lived inside of that coconut, and he would just like watch me write and just be proud, you know. And I was like, yeah. So Mac's always been a big inspiration too. But there's so many greats, like, and that's the thing. Like, the music industry is really a buffet.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to see it as like dog eat dog, but I really see it as a buffet. Like,
What's next?
Yeah, what's next? You know.
Just a fun fact about me. Mac Miller was my first concert I've ever went to
For
in my
real?
whole life.
Where was that, in
It was a crazy experience. I was maybe 8th, 9th grade at the time. We went out to Jersey. It was an indoor event. As soon as you walked in the event, all you smell was the potency of weed in the air.
Ooh.
You look to your right, people are fighting. Look to your left, females were showing their breast. I'm like, whoa. You know, me at a young age, I'm like a chihuahua at the time, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, it was definitely a great experience, and RIP to the GOAT, man. He was one of the best and definitely was an artist, a lyricist before his time, and I can say that with all my heart. Let's get right into your...
Hang on, speaking of weed real quick, I'm actually 95 days without smoking any weed right now. I'm on a cleanse, and it's wild to me because one of the biggest songs I have out right now is a song called Cap Junkie, which I made last year in October when I was still smoking heavy. And it's like I'm seeing all these people post on Instagram with all these weed, nice looking trichromes, and they're playing the song, and I'm like low-key going crazy over a weed song, and I'm not even indulging.
Right.
So it's so weird, but it was authentic to where I was at the time, and I'm glad all the you know, the hippies and stoners out there are enjoying the song. Definitely go stream it, smoke to it if that's what you do. I'm just at a place right now where I don't have the time for it, for real.
Yeah. Why did you stop smoking? You said you don't have the time for it, but there's obviously more to it than that.
Yeah, you know, I started, like I said before, I started when I was 13, and so I'm 30 years old now, and it's been pretty much daily for 17 years, and I feel like as time progressed, you know, I got heavy into drinking. I moved to Honduras at 18, and I drank all the way up until the time I was 27. And I found recovery from alcohol and the harder stuff that I would do. And I held on to that piece. You know, it was like my little cozy blanket my snuggie that I could put on to not feel my emotions. And as time away from alcohol continued, I kept relapsing on the alcohol. Like, it's like, for some reason, I couldn't let go of the alcohol either. And then I had an experience that was spiritual by nature, which kind of like leads into the album, where I had met Jesus in a white room. And after that, you know, I got out of the hospital, and I'll talk more about that if you guys want, but I kept smoking for, I don't know, like 11 months after that, and I was still not drinking, but it's like the weed stopped working to a certain extent, and it wouldn't numb those emotions anymore, and I felt like I was setting myself up to drink again, which I know now, for me to drink is to die.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't worth it. And like I said, like, look at all the beautiful goals that we're achieving right now, gentlemen. Like, I speak for myself, like, or actually I'll speak for the label. Like, we don't have time to hold on to those childish things right now.
No, we don't.
So it's just a beautiful thing. Like, with God, I think he just made it clear. Like, I was praying for willingness to quit, and God's sense of humor is like, I started getting sick, every time I would smoke, I would get sicker.
Yeah.
And I couldn't hold down water. I couldn't hold down food. And I have a rare medical condition called cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome.
Wow.
And so it's like God's sense of humor. Like, you willing yet?
Oh man.
And so, yeah, it's just been growth stacked on growth stacked on growth.
With us being both in recovery, you know, because I too have a similar past. I know from my own experience that I put my life on the line time after time after time, and God had given me so many chances. And after seeing, you know, where our drinking and smoking and using brought both of us, I knew that the time for it was up for me. I couldn't keep living like a kid anymore, because that's what it was for me. I didn't want to grow up. I wanted to live the way that I wanted to live, and that was, you know, free from feeling anything I didn't like. And my dad told me when I was a kid, you can either be an asset to society in your community, or you can be a dredge and just take. And so I was like, sweet, I got options. So I took the latter, because that meant I could keep doing what I wanted to do. And, you know, after that night where you met Jesus in that white room, and you woke up out of the hospital, thank God you did. And that was the catalyst for me too.
Yeah, and our last drink was together. I had a sailboat in Pasadena, Maryland. I'll just tell the abridged version of this story. And we went out drinking, and we were out late at a late night after hours bar shooting pool.
Oh, yeah.
I got blackout drunk. And Prez had some psychedelics that night with him. And so when we got back to the boat, I wanted to take some of those. And I took way too much. And it was like May of 2023, like early May, and before Cinco de Mayo, I remember. And we had just dropped Soul Eater not too long before that. So we were sitting on the boat. The psychedelics were starting to kick in. Prez was playing Soul Eater, and the LED lights on that boat, when you would turn up the volume on the TV, it would shift the light color. And so the lights ended up changing. The whole boat started breathing. Like, the whole boat was breathing, and I was sitting there, and I just seen Prez, like, morph into what I thought was a demon. And so I was, like, telling him about himself, and I was trying to do physical harm to my brother, and he did what most sane people would do and left. And I stood there at the end, because the boat was behind this house. I stood there at the end of this thing after his car left, and the whole world kind of just turned into a kaleidoscope. Like, I took way too much. And there was a light at the end of this kaleidoscope, and I was just running to this light, laughing, having a good old time. And I hit a wall, or a wall hit me, or something happened. And then I was in the dark, and I was fighting with these demons. Turns out they were police officers. And I got strapped down in an ambulance. Like, the insanity of this.
Thank God.
I got strapped down in an ambulance, and I'm thrashing to the point where they thought I was going to dislocate my shoulder. And so they hit me with a sedative. So now I'm on uppers, I'm on downers, I'm on psychedelics, you know, and I get hit with benzos. And so I woke up in this white room, and I was...
You're good.
Yeah, I woke up in this white room, and I was dead. Like, I knew I was dead. And so I started going around this room and just freaking out. Like, I can't be dead. I got too much to do. And I bumped into the man himself, Jesus from Nazareth, the only Christ to ever walk on this planet. And he told me, we've been trying to get your attention for a while now, and you haven't been listening to us. Give me one reason I should let you go back to Earth. And I told him about the album I'm working on, I had a heart to heart with him. I told him my family needs me. I told him present needs me. I told him that I will carry his message and bring people to his kingdom and tell them the truth about what happened to me in this scenario, and I'll change my ways. He said, okay, I'll let you go back under one condition. If you ever take another drink again, you'll never see me again. And I woke up in the hospital, and my whole family was there. They flew in from the West Coast, and it had been 2 days. And I couldn't use my hand. My hand was stuck like this. You remember?
I remember.
And they told me I'd never be able to use my hand again. You know?
Hey.
That's what I got to say to that, you know, because the mind is a powerful organ. And the first thing besides calling present I did after that was I told my sister to hand me my laptop. And that was May 7th, 2023. And that's the date that we formed NeoClassicK Records. Officially on paper. And I've been walking with Jesus ever since. And my life has gotten better and better and better. And it's just like I knew that letting go of the marijuana was the most important thing for my mission. Now, if people out there smoke it recreationally, like, more power to you. But I have an addictive personality or a perfectionist mentality where I can't get enough. Like, I don't ever want this podcast to end. You know, if good things for me, bad things for me, I want it all in large doses. And I think that as people in recovery, that's probably one of our greatest strengths, is like turning a weakness into a strength, because I just don't know who I'd be without that trait.
Yeah. I can definitely relate to that.
I know.
One is too many, and 1,000 is just getting started.
Hey, I want to applaud both of you guys, because I was an addict, but I was, you know, a regular drinker and a smoker. I would smoke heavy, and I would drink more than I should. But, you know, I got to a point in my life where, by the way, Prez, can you see a red light? You see a red dot on there on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, if you see just glance at it every once in a while.
Okay.
Okay, but back to what I was saying. I got to a point where I realized I wasn't taking care of myself. And I think that's the first step as a human being, is realizing your mistakes. Once you realize your mistakes, that's the first step of changing yourself. And I realized, as a person, I was sitting at my desk, 220 pounds, unhealthy, overweight, drinking, smoking. Realized that shit wasn't for me anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I wanted to change myself as a person. So what I did was, literally, I looked myself in the mirror. I was like, who the fuck are you? Shaved my head and told myself that I'm going to change my whole persona. I'm going to change my whole person. And that's exactly what I did. I went from 220 to 158 at my lowest. So I applaud both of you guys. And
I applaud you.
I have the utmost
likewise,
respect
brother.
for you guys, man. I really do. And I want to get into that album, because the album is literally for people that have addictions. And let's talk about that.
Well, it's for everybody. It's for everybody. You know?
Of course.
I think everybody can benefit from a metamorphosis, right?
Yeah.
So the book I'm reading right now is called 10X is Easier Than 2X. And it's
Okay.
super interesting premise to this book is, like, everybody thinks that to be 10 times better, you have to work 10 times harder. Well, the human mind is naturally lazy. So we don't want to even work 2 times harder, let alone 10 times harder.
Right.
But the truth is if you set your standards and you commit to something 10 times harder, then the brain will figure out a way to do it. So, like, he uses reading as an example. None of us started being able to read.
Right.
But because we had a commitment to to learn how to read, we eventually gain the capability and the confidence. And now we all read with confidence.
Mm-hmm.
But as a kid who doesn't know how to read, that's a 10x jump. So you look back on your life at all the 10x jumps. But the album is broken down into 3 sections: my experience, my strength, and my hope. So it starts out talking about how alcohol was a problem for me, wet and dry. How that changed into me finding the strength through my higher power, God, in the way that he talked to me to give me strength and realize that there is a better way of life out there. And then the hope of me actually meeting that journey, because recovery is a journey. Recovery is a journey. Like,
There's no end goal.
It's like I said, the horizon, right?
Yeah.
Like we strive for perfection, and we always make progress. So Metamorphosis has been, like I said, I've been writing this my whole life. It saved my life because I didn't know I was writing an album about my addiction when I wrote that first song. I just need some space. I just need some time. I really did. Like, I really did need that. And then, like, often, like, when I wrote that, I was tripping in a cabin 4 years ago with Rob.
Oh yeah. Wasn't Eve there too?
Yeah. And then Wormhole, I was in Eve's house.
Yeah.
And I heard that laugh. And I was like, that's going on this track. You know, so like by the time the option of recovery was presented to me, I had to look at myself like, well, your subconscious has been crying for help through the music. So like maybe you should listen before you die.
Yeah.
You know? So like, but check out the album, yo. Like, it's coming out.
Metamorphosis.
It's coming out this spring, 2025. I wanted to release it in September, but fucking labels.
That's it.
It's your label.
Our label.
Spotify.
No, don't blame Spotify.
Yes, blame Spotify.
Always been Spotify.
Check us out on Bandcamp, y'all.
Yeah, Bandcamp.
That's the best way to support your favorite artists. If you can't drop a bag, like, and that's the other thing about Metamorphosis is I learned in a lot of literature I read that recovery is supposed to be vocational, meaning it's something that we give away for free. Give away for free what we were so freely given, right? And so I'm not selling this album. You cannot buy Metamorphosis. It is free. Go to Bandcamp, download it, hit me up, pay the shipping. I'm going to send you a signed copy of the CD. And if you want to donate to the cause, by all means, pay what you want. That's the way I'm going about this album release because it's so close to my heart.
Minimum $1.
I can't put a price on it.
Yeah.
I literally can't put a price on it.
I love that. I love that a lot. He's giving you guys a whole album basically for free of just
Love.
a whole spanking full of songs of love.
Free love.
Of love.
There is
He love.
there is a lot of love in that album.
You want to tell him about He Love?
Oh yeah, the rocket ship. Yeah. So the mission for NeoClassic is to get everybody on the rocket ship. The rocket ship to Jesus. And Tee Kae and Richard started writing this. It started with one song. It was just going to be a song, but then the concept turned into an album. And so now we're building an album called Rocket Ship to Jesus. And it might be more than just one album. We'll see what comes from it.
How many songs?
No way to know yet. This is NeoClassic.
Can I put a number?
No. Okay. You're on it, by the way.
I'll be on it.
This is NeoClassic's magnum opus. So like this is the masterpiece that NeoClassic's gonna release, because the way that I came up with the name and the concept with Richard is the record label is kind of like me and Present used to be on this boat, and we would think that the record label was like a sailboat. But no, we were wrong. The record label's a rocket ship. And there's different parts of the rocket ship, and we can get into that in another episode. But the fans are at the apex because the fans always come first. Without y'all, we're nothing. But what are we going to do with the fans? We're going to give them to the number one savior of this world. We're going to hand them off to the loving care of the God of our understanding. And so it's neoclassic gospel. And it's going to be beautiful. Like, there's no genre on this one. It's just going to be Neapolitan soup.
He died for us so that way we will get to live forever.
Amen. Imagine somebody that has that much love to sacrifice himself for my sins, Tee Kae sins, present sins,
All
the
of my
whole
sins.
world sins. Like, who
And
else
he-
is? No
and he
one's
rose
doing that.
again.
And he rose again.
And he rose again. And, you know, I respect everybody's religious beliefs. Like, we're not trying to push Christianity on anybody here.
That's right.
But I will say I've done all the research for you. And if you want to have that conversation, DM me. I will gladly talk religion. We could bring you on the podcast to talk religion because I have a large knowledge base about this. And the number one thing that I found, who else stopped time when they were here on earth? Everything before him was BC.
Right.
After him was AD. So for the time that Jesus was on earth, time was 0 the whole time.
My pastor said that religion is what separates us from God. And so
Oh my.
that didn't even make sense to me for the longest time,
Yeah.
you know, but really it's about spirituality. You know, we have this body that is flesh, but then we have our spirit, which is our life. And that's our heart, you know. And what makes us different from all the other animals in the world? Love. No, the other animals in the world, they don't live out their life based on what their love and desires are, but we do.
Yep.
We live for love and
Yep.
for desires, not procreation and sustenance and etc. It's love and desire and pleasure, and God wants us to be joyous, to have love, have His love, and be able to share that with each other.
Speaking about love, can we share some maybe words of encouragement or, you know, just love to people out here in this world? I'll start it off. I just want to say anything you do, you can. Work hard, put your mind to it, and grind. That's all it takes. Because you start off shitty, but once you put that grind in, give it a few months, maybe a couple years, I promise you're going to be top tier. TK?
He love. And love has to be a choice, you know. That's the most beautiful gift that our Creator gave us is free will. And the reason I say that, because I used to think that free will was a curse, but the reason I say that is because God's a gentleman. He waits at the door for us to open it up and let Him in our lives. And I know from my experience, once I let God in my life, like, I don't fear death today. There's nothing of this world. I'm in this world, but I'm not of it. Like, I get to live every single day in the kingdom. And if you want more words of encouragement, then just keep on coming back to the podcast, baby, because we're chock full of them.
Yeah, any words for people that are going through addiction?
Be honest, open, and willing. And there are communities of people out there that understand and will show up for you in ways in your life that you never knew imaginable if you let them.
The reality is your experience, and your experience is defined by what your thoughts make. Your thoughts will always trigger how you feel, and that will define how you behave. which causes the experience that you have. So your reality is up to you, what you define it by.
Don't drop the mic, but mic drop.
I'd love for us to just end this
Yeah, I think this
with
is
the serenity prayer.
Yeah, let's close out the right way.
Let's do it. We're gonna end it with the prayer, but I want to do a little outro right now. This is NeoClassicK's Writer's Block. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening to us talk. I'm your host, Ric Foci.
Tee Kae.
And I'm present. Thank
Alright.
you, Rick.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. You guys started this motion. I love it.
And thank you, Tee Kae.
Yes.
Thank you, God.
Let's pray. Tee Kae, let's take it over.
Same way we end the album with the serenity prayer. God,
God,
grant me the serenity
to accept the things I cannot change,
the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
Amen. I love y'all.
I love you
Love y'all too. We still got some time left.
Peace, love.
Now for a message from our sponsors. We need sponsors. Send me an email and send me money.
That was